We all know Hollywood loves sequels, prequels, and other spin-off projects. It's easier to work on them, faster and easier to understand. There's a ready cast of actors, and the audience is already familiar with the idea of the writers and directors and generally waits for the sequel. In 1984, another successor appeared among similar projects. The box office success of the first Police Academy cost $4 million. It was shot in just over a month, demonstrating to Warner Studios the potential of a fast money-making conveyor belt. And the studio forced the creators to release one film a year. Such speed affected the quality of the franchise, and its box office results began to plummet downward, eventually reaching the bottom as expected. Today, I'd like to look back at Police Academy, which went from being one of the highest-grossing films of the year to a film that's already been sent straight to video. The idea for Police Academy came to producer Paul Maslinski. One day on the set of The Right Stuff, police cadets helped them on the stage. They had to block off the streets and keep the peace. But they did it so ineptly that their boss was constantly running between them and did not stop shouting for a minute. All the cadets, he said, were utterly different, fat and thin, black and white men and women. Maslinski asked the sergeant if these recruits would make good police officers in the future. He was told that the police have an equal opportunity policy when enrolling at the academy. Maslinski found this very amusing, and that same day he sketched out several script pages. Then he gave these pages to the executive producer Alan Ladd. He also liked the idea and agreed to launch the project. The film's budget was only $4 million, and no big stars were not planned. Casting was looking for young talent in youth comedies. One of those actors could become Tom Hanks. It was him they wanted to give the role of Carey Mahoney. The producer liked Tom a lot, and he got the offer. The actor himself says that he thought and chose between Bachelor Party and Police Academy for a long time. Bachelor Party became a hit at the box office, but not as big as Police Academy. Beauty, I don't think Hanks regrets his choice. The producers the next day met Steve Guttenberg at an audition, and he was quickly confirmed for the lead role. Producer Paul Maslinski claims that they had 10 Police Academy movies in 1984. The test screenings were a bit unconventional. The writers arranged them as they went along, and based on the audience feedback, they changed some things in the film, bringing certain actors to the forefront and taking others away. For example, at the earliest screenings, the audience reacted positively to Bubba Smith playing Hightower, and the creators immediately gave him one of the prominent roles, although initially, he was supposed to play a cameo appearance in the film for a few minutes. At the box office, the film took off in first place, moving splash with Tom Hanks. With a budget of $4.5 million, comedy only in America could collect $81 million. The worldwide box office receipts were over $150 million. After seeing these results, the studio decided to shoot a sequel as soon as possible, and they did it in less than 1 year. It was just this second part that changed a lot for the franchise. So director Hugh Wilson did not want to write a script and shoot a sequel, and went to film Rustler's Rhapsody along with George Bailey, who played Lieutenant Harris in the first part. Steve Guttenberg didn't want to return to his role. He really didn't like the script. But his dissatisfaction was resolved quite simply. He got a raise in royalties. But the actor still insisted on changing a few things in the script, because he believed that there was no need to make the main character more complicated. James Signorelli, who directed the 1983 hit comedy Easy Money, was appointed as the new director. There were a lot of problems with him. Right away, he couldn't deal with the actors who thought he was too nervous about going to extremes, and filming had to stop. After that, people from the studio came to solve problems on the site. As a result, there was a slight reshuffle. Instead, Signorelli appointed director Jerry Paris, who is used to working with a large number of actors, and did not see any problems in the fact that screen time is distributed between all the actors. All this led to the shooting stretching out for almost 3 months. Test screenings of the film showed that the audience did not like what they saw, after which the film was sent for additional editing. And as it turned out, not in vain. The film, with a budget of $7 million, was able to collect at the worldwide box office $115 million. But even after such a success, people from the studio, it became clear that the franchise had reached its peak, and then there would be a gradual decline. Because of this, it was decided to make the third part with a children's rating. From the movie were cut all the naked bodies, dirty jokes and other things that could not pass inspection by a special committee. Because of all these restrictions, the movie dropped a lot in the audience ratings. But at the expense of a broad audience at the cost of children's box office returns, the third film reached 100 million on a budget of 12 million. By the way, Tim Kaczynski and Bobcat Goldthwait got the biggest royalties for the third film after Guttenberg. They were paid $600,000 each. The filmmakers really needed Goldthwait's character, which the audience liked in the second part. And the actor, knowing it, demanded $600,000 for himself and $600,000 for his friend. The fourth film that hit the big screens in 1987 was a real turning point. It was the most expensive film of the franchise, costing $17 million, and was the only one to be nominated for a Golden Raspberry. The fourth film was a disaster for the critics, with all the actors, including Steve Guttenberg, getting a failing grade of 5 out of 10. Box office receipts also plummeted. On a budget of $17 million, the film stopped at $77 million. While it wasn't a flop, it wasn't nearly as good as the film's budget compared to the first three parts. Guttenberg immediately turned down the fifth film. In those years, he had enough offers. The comedy 3 Men and a Baby was excellent at the box office. The impending filming of Cocoon, The Return, did not allow the producer to return him to the Police franchise. Goldthwait and Kaczynski also left the project immediately because of high demands for royalties. The authors tried to freshen up the franchise a bit by changing the filming location. The Police Academy was moved to Miami. The fifth part was the last in the series, which led the box office in the first week. But this is the only result the film can be proud of. With a budget of $14 million, the film grossed $54 million at the worldwide box office and again was not a box office failure. Audience reviews were even worse and critics ignored the franchise. But if Police Academy was profitable even with films of similar quality, the studio decided to make a sixth part. The $14 million film failed at the box office, grossing only $11 million. World Collection slightly corrected the situation by adding another $22 million. At this time, Warner Studios decided to stop and not shoot the seventh part. As conceived by the producers, the action film was to take place in London and bring back Steve Guttenberg. But the budget of such a film of $20 million did not satisfy the studio, and the producer Paul Maslany did not agree to less. But when all his production projects failed, including The Russia House with Sean Connery, he decided to go back to the seventh part of the Academy. The studio only gave $9 million, which considerably changed the producers' plans. They had to turn down the services of some of the actors from the old films. And Ron Perlman, who marked only the seventh film, said that he had done the public an excellent service as his efforts finally disappeared from the big screens of the Police Academy. The cinema was filmed in Moscow at a not very good time, and there was not enough budget to entirely shoot the movie. Creators say it strongly affected the plot, but the film was removed. Representatives from the studio saw the footage and put a period to the project. The film was released only in limited release in America, and the rest of the world went straight to video. Viewer ratings for the seventh film were around 3 points out of 10. In 2017, Studio Warner officially launched the new Police Academy, and Steve Guttenberg started talking in interviews about how he regrets leaving the Police Academy for the fourth movie. And now they have the opportunity to come back. But we all understand that the Police Academy, if we all wanted to, of the creators will not be there now. We do not believe in any kind of return, and even if it happens, it is unlikely to be taken positively by the audience.